Good evening. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for August 9th, 2023 is now in session. I would like to introduce my board. To my far left is Ashley Garkar and Brandon Dines. I'm Ivan Valentic, and to my right is Todd Goling. To our far right is Heather Freeman, our zoning inspector. Under the advice of council, we ask that anyone speaking tonight must be sworn in. So if you plan on speaking, please stand right now and raise your right hand. Okay, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help me God. If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. When presenting your case or commenting tonight, it all has to be done up at the microphone and state your name and your address, and please confirm that you've been sworn in. Heather, were the legal notices posted in a timely manner?
Yes, they were.
Okay, perfect. We have three variance appeals tonight. A 3-vote majority is required to either approve or deny your appeal. If a request is denied, you can file an appeal. As you can see, we only have 4 members of the board tonight. So as you come up, I'm going to ask you if you want to continue with your appeal this evening, or if you'd like to table it to next month when we hopefully have a 5-member board. But with the 4 of us, a 3-vote majority is still required, okay? So let you think about that for a second, and we're going to get started. The first is variance application 2023-1-131. Stephen and Rachel Siegel are requesting a variance from section 15.04B, table 15.04-1, to allow shed to have a 4-foot side yard clearance in lieu of the minimum 10-foot required for the property located at 7114 Brightwood Drive, parcel number 08-A-0-29-0-00-015-0. Mr. and Mrs. Siegel, please come up.
Sorry, my wife wasn't able to make it. We have 4 kids at home, and she drew this short straw.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I've never done this before.
So
I
just your
wanted to
name,
Okay.
your address, and confirm you've been sworn in, and then let us know if you want to proceed this evening or if you want to wait till next month.
My name is Steve Siegel. I reside at 7114 Brightwood Drive, Concord Township, Ohio. Yes, I was sworn in, and yes, I'm fine proceeding this evening.
Okay. Go ahead and present your case, and then as you're after you present, we'll follow up with some questions.
Okay, sure. So as you can see in the documentation I provided, my wife and I moved to our residence about 13 years ago now. We bought it as an old foreclosure, and over the time we've been slowly remodeling the house to try to bring it up to the best possible standards we can. During that time, we had 4 children and have needed a lot more space. A couple years ago, I needed a little more room for garden tools, lawnmower, other yard tools. We used to have a small 2-car garage, and with 4 kids, we had a kind of an overflow. So I contacted someone about building a shed. I met with the Brightwood Lakes president at the time, had him come to my property. He walked my property. Because we are on the edge of what was Brightwood Lake, and we had the flood zones, and I guess you could say that the slope of our yard really was a disadvantage to us and a location where we could put the shed. The president at the time, I apologize, I do forget his name, we agreed that on the far right-hand side of my property would be a perfect location for the shed. I couldn't put it any further forward because it would be considered in my front yard. So I had to push it back as far as possible. From the pictures provided, you can see it's right on the edge of the drop-off before it goes down to the water. I believe that was one of the photos. Upon contacting, I actually came to the zoning office and talked about a permit, and right away the zoning office said that permit would be denied because it was within 10 feet of the my neighbor's property. Upon relaying that information, they said I could apply for a variance. I inquired about the cost. When I was talking to the person that was going to do the shed for me, I relied on bad advice. He said, nobody's going to come by, nobody's going to come through. He said, you don't need to get a permit or variance. We'll just put it in for you and it'll be okay. So I went ahead and did it, and then I received this letter a couple months ago, and I was like, okay, I need to remedy my mistake. So I came through to get the permit, got it denied, and now I'm applying for the variance to make sure it's okay. Also including the letter which I didn't mention, I did contact my neighbors on both sides of the property, asking if it was okay if I put the shed in the location. The letter, I believe, is provided by Gary Rosenthal and his wife. And as they said previously, a couple years ago, they were happy to write a letter for me, saying that they had no problem. Though they did call my shed a shack in their letter, I was quite okay with their letter. And so I guess now I'm just asking permission to help you, to help me remedy my mistake and not applying for the variance earlier.
So between, you're only 4 feet off of their property line, and I mean, looking from the picture and from what, looking online, it looks like there's a good amount of screening on that side already. Is that why they're okay with it?
Yeah, so their house is set back hundreds of feet off the property, so there's just woods.
A drive
Yeah,
back going
driveway
back.
with a wooded area on both sides of their drive, and they have no issues at all. And I've actually helped take care of that area for them and cleaned it up for them, took down a couple trees for them. Made it look kind of nice.
Did you plant the stuff in front of the shed, or
That was one of the agreements with the president at the time. If I planted a hedgerow in front of it to try to hide it a little bit more, to make it less obvious. So that was something that we agreed upon prior.
And how long's that shed been there for?
2 years. I believe, give or take.
Do you guys have any other questions?
I do.
I do. What sparked
Go ahead, Ashley.
filing for for the variance? I know you applied for the permit and it was denied, but what sparked making you apply the first time?
So a couple months ago, I received a letter saying that my shed was in violation. I have no idea where it came from. I'm assuming it was from Heather.
Was it just like a drive-by kind of saw, or was there a complaint from a neighbor
ma'am.
that started?
Yeah, and Heather Freeman, I have been sworn in. I drove by, saw the shed in that location, thought I haven't seen that there before, came back and checked our records, as to which we didn't have a permit on file. Went
So
back
no
and-
complaints from a neighbor,
There was,
just
yeah, there was no complaint.
simply, okay. And HOA completely approved of it and still does. There's no problems with your HOA in this.
Correct.
Don?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you. You can be seated.
Okay, thank you.
You're good, Ashley?
I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here this evening that's speaking for this appeal that'd like to come up? Or anyone speaking against this appeal that'd like to come up? Okay, if there's no further questions, a public hearing for variance number 2023-131 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to approve variance 2023-131?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Discussion for the board? Any thoughts?
Yeah, it's a unique property. He's got, I mean, it's a tough spot. I don't think any of us prefer the idea of maybe, the bad advice or whatever. A little mea culpa here tonight, so I appreciate that. I think this might be the first time in more than a decade I've been on this board where an applicant actually went through the Duncan factors and wrote them all down for us. That's impressive. When I look at it, it's a nice shed. It seems to be a completely different piece of property than what we're accustomed to. It's a little bit unique. The Rosenthals are the neighbors directly next door who seem to have no problem providing us with evidence that they don't have a problem. I think we could go through the Duncan factors if necessary for the record, but I would just simply, I don't know. I guess I would say that when you go through each one of them, whether it's on the record or not, I don't find any problems with any of them, and I would personally seek to approve it.
Okay, Ashley?
Other statements?
Nothing further.
Okay. All right, I'm good. I don't need to add anything to the discussion. Thanks, Brandon. Okay, then the questions on the approval of variance appeal number 2023-131. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance, a no vote denies the variance. Heather, please call the vote.
Ms. Garkar,
Yes.
Mr. Dines,
Yes.
Mr. Goling,
Yes.
Mr. Valente.
Yes, your variance has been approved. Thank you. All right. On to our next.
You're free to leave unless you find this riveting.
I'll touch base.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, so next on the agenda is variance application 2023-132. Samuel T. Acapono Jr. is requesting a variance from section 17.07A and section 17.04B4 to allow an above-ground swimming pool to have a 9-foot riparian setback in lieu of a 25-foot required for the property located at 7290 South Meadow Drive, parcel number 08-A-029-H-00-045-0. Please come up. Hey,
Sam Ocampo, address 7290 South Meadow Drive, Rockford. I've been sworn in.
thank you, sir.
I'm here because I'm applying for variance for our swimming pool above ground. It's not the steel one, it's a plastic one. The way our backyard sits, it's weird. We have a creek that cuts across in the middle of our backyard. And the only flat spot that ideal for a swimming pool, it's closer to the house. Across the creek, it's kind of wooded and it slopes down towards the creek. So I don't have a machine that can cross the creek to flatten that area back that way. So it's kind of impossible for me. That's why.
And I guess so the riparian setbacks, I mean, did Heather or anyone explain to you what those are?
I didn't know about the riparian setback till she mentioned it.
Yeah. So again, this house has been here for some time.
Correct.
And I mean, so it's really challenging when we get existing properties coming in.
Yeah.
And we've adopted these riparian setbacks, but really we're trying to avoid any kind of development within that riparian zone. So
Okay.
that includes patios, fire pits, walls, steps, and
Okay.
kind of letting the creek be able to do what it wants to do, because any development within that riparian zone really just impacts our community. So
Okay.
that's the reason for them, and that's why we've established the zones, so you're trying to keep a distance away from the creek so the creek can function naturally and not, impact your property or any other properties in the
Okay.
neighborhood. But we do recognize that you have a special kind of condition here. as well.
Yeah. The only backyard in that neighborhood is the creek
Yeah.
right runs across it.
Yeah.
So Mr. Ocampo, there's a pool there now, right?
Yes.
In the picture we have, that's the plastic pool that you have?
Correct.
Do you have decking around that?
No, I don't. No.
Is it a patio? It looks like is it a patio around
There was a
it?
patio there before, so I just kind of bought it close to the pool. It's just a small section, maybe this 10 by 10.
And I understand that the structure that's to the left of the pool right here, that's
Yeah.
not there anymore?
No, that was one of those carport. I moved it
And it fell
a couple
apart.
weeks ago, and it's a metal frame. I bent it during moving it. Now it's just collapsing, so it's
Got it.
garbage.
And what was there before the pool? Was it just grass or patio?
Just
or-
grass.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a 21-foot, the diameter is 21 foot.
Correct.
Some pools get taken down every year. Does this one, or does it stay up all year round?
We leave it all year round.
leave it year-
I
okay.
mean, we can collapse. I mean, it's collapsible pool.
You can take it apart. So it's got a liner. It's got a plastic.
Metal frame.
Okay, so it's a
around
metal.
it.
It's not the one that like the top of it blows up.
It's
and
not.
No.
Okay, so it's
So
okay.
I built pools for years. So,
you.
but it's not a permanent structure. So
Okay.
Correct.
you basically have a sand base,
Correct.
and you build the metal. You build the metal frame around it. You drape the liner in it.
Correct.
It's got some composite walls potentially, but worst case scenario, I mean, they're generally not seen as permanent structures. Like if you have an in-ground pool, it goes with the house. If he moves, he can take this with him.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's and they generally don't have a good lifespan, meaning that less than 10 years if you're lucky.
Okay.
Any other questions, Ashley?
Okay.
Don? Any-
Nope.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here this evening that's speaking for this appeal that'd like to come up? Is there anyone here that would like to speak against the appeal? Okay, if there's no further questions, the public hearing for variance number 2023-132 is now closed to the public. Can I get a motion to approve variance number 2023-132?
I have one more question though.
Oh,
Hey Heather, have we heard from Chad on this? Is this
No.
a Chad thing or?
I met Chad on the site initially to establish the riparian setback distance.
Right.
But he did not submit a letter. I did request him to give some comments, but it was not received.
I know it's hearsay, but did he have any input one way or the other? Or?
We looked at the backyard to determine, if we shifted the pool south a little bit, would that get that a little bit
Right.
further away, more like where the patio is, but it didn't.
Okay.
So based on what we saw there really was no location to have this pool on the property that would probably meet that setback.
Got it.
Did he express any concerns about it causing negative effects, seeing negative effects being caused to the Creek River as of right now?
No, there was a concern if that carport remained, based
Yeah.
on the way the creek was eroding, that over time that
Would fall in.
was going to fall in to the creek.
So that was a concern, but the pool,
Yes,
other
but
than
Chad
zoning
didn't make
says
any
not
direct,
to do it.
Yeah, he didn't make any direct comments regarding
Okay.
the impact that, if the stream was going to erode further with the pool.
okay. You good, Don?
Yeah.
All right, so could we get a motion to approve variance number 2023-132?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
Thank you. Discussion? Anyone want to start?
I suppose I would have more deeper misgivings if it were a in-ground pool. I see this in my eyes as like a trampoline. It's just you can get rid of it. Which then again, the other part of it is we have a unique property. Sam's trying to do something good for his family and his kids, so they can go enjoy the 2.5 months of summer we normally get anyway. So, I really would have loved to hear from Chad if he's like, yeah, this thing is pushing the. I realize I understand the riparian setback, and I realize that it's 9 feet from the 25-foot high mark, but it's 27 feet from the actual water. Was that what I understood? I could be screwing this up completely, but
The pool is at its closest point 9 feet away from the ordinary high water mark. I believe when
Gotcha.
we were out there, and that's not necessarily the water's edge of
Right.
where the water was that
Yeah, it's
day.
a-
That is typically outside of that, so it's a little bit further away from the actual water.
Yeah, it's up the bank a little bit, yeah.
okay. So I don't have heartache over it, primarily because, to use Sam's words, it's a plastic pool, and not like it's a kiddie pool. I know if they could be a couple $1,000s, but it's not a permanent structure. And just like the carport fell down, this might fall down too, and the problem's gone.
I think if this was like a new subdivision, this would probably be a buildable lot.
Right,
Probably
right.
Just avoid this even lot. So I think that's part of it for me, is that he's kind of inherited the situation. We've added the riparian setbacks, and the reason we've added those setbacks is so this doesn't happen with the new construction. You're to avoid
Right.
this condition in this situation. So I mean, there may be some impact of that pool on that river, but we don't know what that is, if there is. So, I think I'm okay with that. I mean, it's not great, but there's no really other place for him to put it either.
I suppose I'd feel differently if I did have some sort of input from Chad at Lake Soil and Water that said it is negatively impacting. It's a bad thing, but I don't have anything to go on. So for me, I just like to bunt.
Yeah, and it was lawn. It's not like he cut down forested part of the yard and flattened it and put in a pool either.
Right.
Well, I think we've hit on it. It's above ground pool. It's not permanent. It's a unique parcel of property. There's really no other location for it. The house itself is practically in the riparian zone. There's no neighbors speaking against it or complaining. Although it doesn't necessarily pass the Duncan test, I think we're able to make exceptions beyond that, and I think they're not always fully applicable. So I think based on all those factors and the considerations, it's pretty unique. I would approve it as well.
I do have a question. If we do approve it, that would be only this pool, meaning, as you said, this, if lucky, is 10 years, so go get
Yeah.
a new pool, would have to file to put a new pool in.
Right. Well, that'd be
This is
a-
grandfathering this one physical pool structure,
like,
and that's it.
So like if this one breaks, he's not putting another one out. Is that what
Okay.
you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah. So I mean,
Okay.
he would have to apply to put a pool up because
For a new pool.
according to the paperwork, he got caught because they were out there looking for a fence. I think, if I recall what I'm reading.
Filed a permit to put up a
Fence, and while they're looking for the fence, they said, "What's the pool doing here?"
Okay.
That type of thing. So, I don't. He would have to apply. So
A second time for a new
the second
structure.
time. So,
Okay.
but obviously he knows what he's going up against now and how long
Okay.
this lasts.
Can I ask, you go ahead. I was gonna ask legal
ahead.
counsel. Legal counsel, I was gonna ask a question. If it's the same size pool in the same location, would he really have to file another variance, or could he just replace it in kind if it's the same spot in the same size pool? Because that's what the variance is, to stay 9 feet away, technically.
I would probably defer to Heather if, in that situation, would someone need to apply for another zoning permit to have a pool? If they took one down, an above ground pool was taken down and just replaced in the same area, would another application be needed?
I don't believe so.
Well, that's a good question. I don't think a new application, I mean, if it was the exact same pool, height, diameter, I would probably not require a zoning permit, but as far as the variance, I think the variance would run with the land in perpetuity for that exact location and size of the pool. So I think that would allow them to replace it without having to come back to the BZA for a variance.
Or at least for the period of time in which the homeowner owns the land, and fee simple, and then perpetuity might be, we might go run up against a rule against perpetuities, which might be a problem.
Okay.
For this particular situation, could we have an amendment to the motion that states that this is for this one particular pool? And just state it now that if he does get a new pool in 10 years to replace it, it needs to be looked at again, because then we could look at what the land looks like, is there actually erosion, that kind of thing, and it gives us the ability of kind of a stop point.
So a sunset clause.
I would be okay with him if he replaced, I personally don't think we need to, but
I'm
that's
with you.
up,
Yeah, I don't need it.
that's up to you guys. I think if we're allowing it now, it's the same size pool,
I
put it
agree.
back.
Okay.
Nature might move that pool on its own anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point, though.
I'm good with it then.
All right.
Being that it's a above ground, non-permanent structure, it's different if he's digging out an in-ground pool and then replacing it, in my estimation, but this is, I would not personally have any trouble.
All right. No more
Okay.
questions. Thank you.
Yeah, we're good. All right, the next then, the question is on the approval of variance appeal number 2023-132. Yes vote approves the variance and no vote denies it. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Goling?
Yes.
Ms. Garkar?
Yes.
Mr. Valentic?
Yes. Your variance has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next on the agenda is variance application 2023-133. Cody Armelli, on behalf of the property owner Susan Armelli, is requesting a variance from section 29.10B4 and section 29.10B5 to allow a recreational vehicle to be parked or stored outside, not behind the building setback line or screened from the adjacent properties in lieu of the requirements set forth in the above sections of the zoning resolution. This is for the property located at 7491 Mountain Park Drive, parcel number 10-025-D-00-018-0. Mr. Molly, please come up.
Hello, my name is Cody Armelli, and I have been sworn in, and I have thought about your offer, and I would like to ask for a continuance.
To table it till, I'm sorry, it was a little hard to hear, to table it till the next
I would
month?
like to request a continuance.
Okay,
Yes, I have been sworn in.
yes,
Yes,
okay.
that's what I was saying.
And we need a vote from the board?
If that's
Yeah.
possible, please.
Motion to table.
Okay. Okay,
I would move to table it based upon the applicant's request.
second.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I was gonna ask a question. If there's anything about the fact we have other people here, are they allowed to speak now? So they don't have to come another month, or
No.
it has to wait till next month?
Has to wait till next month.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And then I get a letter, I guess, with the date, the new date and time, or
I can communicate.
Heather, I'll
we'll
on
get that
with
worked out.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's September 13th at 7 p.m., but I can email you, if you want to email me.
That's fine. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, we can't take questions from the crowd. You can talk to Heather and she can answer any questions afterwards, or we're happy to answer questions as soon as we're done. All right, next on the agenda is approval of minutes from June 14th, 2023. I believe Todd and Ashley were here at this meeting. Oh, and I was as well. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from June 2023?
Motion?
Second?
Any additions or revisions to the minutes?
I'll just note for your vote, my abstention from Mindy's swan song of minutes. I read them, and I'm sure they're as remarkable as all of her past minutes, for the record.
Thank you.
Her best work yet.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'll vote for the approval of the minutes for June 2023. A yes vote approves the minutes, a no vote does not. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone abstaining?
Abstain.
Thank you. All right, the Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals for August 2023 is now closed.